Now to an update after a state of emergency was declared in Greenfield due to yesterday's rain causing a sanitary sewer to overflow. Here's some video of flooding taking place on Nash's Mill Road. Several other streets were closed as rising water made them impassable. The city's police department posted video of the Green River shortly after 2 p.m. just above flood stage. The Greenfield mayor's office announcing last night that overflow has concluded. The sewage discharged from a regulator chamber near Deerfield Street along the Green River. No drinking water has been contaminated, though. That overflow is impacting the water of both the Green River and Deerfield River in Greenfield and portions of the Connecticut River in Deerfield, Montague, and Sunderland. You should avoid contact with these bodies of water due to health risks from bacteria until at least tomorrow night at 8:15.